Chapter 12. Harry flipped through his textbook listlessly. History of magic had to be the most boring subject ever. And why did they always get so much homework over the summer holidays? Why did he even have to do his history of magic homework? He had failed the stupid class and wouldn't be taking it anymore in 6th year. It wasn't fair. To his left, Hermione was scolding Ron, who had asked if he could copy her charms homework. Ginny was sitting across from them, her nose buried in her potions book. Everyone looked up at the knock on the door. "Come in," Hermione called, and Harry smiled when Draco hesitantly stepped into the room. Unfortunately, he was the only one who seemed pleased to see the blonde. "What do you want?" Ginny hissed, glaring at him. Draco took a deep breath and turned to Hermione. "I wanted to apologize for calling you Mudblood. That was tactless and completely out of line. I'm really sorry, Granger, and I promise it won't happen again." Hermione blinked at him in shock, speechless for once. "Apology accepted," she muttered finally. Draco inclined his head and thanked her. Ron kept eyeing him suspiciously, as if waiting to be insulted or something. "If that's all, you can leave now," Ginny sneered, but Harry patted the floor next to himself.
"Don't be daft, Ginny. I invited him. Take a seat, Draco. You can help me with my history of magic homework."
The blonde looked uncertain, but in the end he put his school bag down and sat next to Harry. "You're still not finished? Wait, is that all you've got so far?" he wanted to know, looking at the few meager lines Harry had written.
"I've been trying, really, but it's so difficult."
Draco rolled his eyes and took the textbook. "All right, grab your quill." He flipped through the book and then started narrating, while Harry hurried to write down every word. Hermione watched them with a disapproving frown, and Ginny was still glaring at Draco. Ron, however, looked speculative. Once his work was finished, Harry thanked the blonde profusely. "Since you're done helping Harry, you can leave now," Ginny ordered snidely. Harry matched her glare with his own.
"Don't be so bloody rude, Ginny. I asked Draco to join us, and he's been very polite all evening."
"I don't care! I want him gone! I don't want a bloody Death Eater in my room, not even a polite one!" she snapped in a shrill voice.
"He's not a Death Eater," Harry snapped back.
"What makes you so sure of that, huh? He's been spying on us, and he's going to sell us out to you-know-who as soon as he can. I don't trust him!"
"But I do! He's my friend, so stop treating him like shit!" Harry yelled.
The silence which followed his outburst was deafening. Ginny looked furious. Harry had trouble reining in his temper, and even Hermione was at a loss for words. It was Ron who finally spoke up again.
"Hey, Malfoy."
The blonde turned to look at him warily, obviously waiting for more insults.
"Can I copy your charms homework?"
Everyone stared at Ron in surprise. Finally, Draco let out a snort of laughter, and the tension eased. "Sure, Weasley." He pulled the roll of parchment out of his school bag and handed it to the redhead, who looked pleasantly surprised.
"Thanks. I might actually start liking you."
Draco chuckled, while Hermione scolded Ron. Harry watched the scene with a smile. Finally, they were getting somewhere. Ginny was now sulking in her corner, but it was at least a start. Things actually got better after the homework session. Draco found that just like that, he was part of the group. He was accepted. He bonded with Ron over wizard's chess and how bad Harry was at it, and Quidditch, realizing with surprise that they both supported the Chudley Cannons. He had some interesting discussions about career options with Hermione, and realized that he actually enjoyed talking to her. When he blurted out that she was cleverer than most of the pure-blood girls he knew, she beamed at him, and Harry joked that he had made a friend for life. And it was actually fun to play two-a-side Quidditch up in the attic, even when he was partnered with Hermione, who totally sucked at it. Only Ginny still glared at him and made nasty remarks when she wasn't busy avoiding him like the plague. Ron just shrugged and told him not to mind her, since she'd always been weird. To Draco, it felt strange to suddenly have friends who appreciated him for himself, and not because he was Lucius Malfoy's son. Unexpected as it was, this summer was turning out to be the best of his life. He learned a lot about himself, and without his father's oppressing presence looming over him, he actually felt happy and free for the first time in his life. He could do whatever he wanted, without asking for permission first, or wondering if it was suitable for the Malfoy heir. It was liberating. Therefore, he dreaded going back to Hogwarts all the more. He was afraid that this was all just some sort of wonderful dream he'd wake up from once he returned to the real world. It was these fears that often kept him awake at night. Too restless to sleep, he padded to the library one night, not surprised to find Remus there with a book. Sirius was away doing order work, and they all knew that the werewolf never went to bed before his lover returned. Draco took a seat on the small leather couch across from him.
"Can't sleep?"
Remus asked quietly, looking up from his book. The boy shook his head.
"Want to talk about it?"
It was an offer, and it was up to Draco whether to take it or not. He appreciated that about the werewolf. If he said no, they could just sit here in silence, and Remus wouldn't bother him. I just keep wondering what's going to happen when we return to school. Remus put the book aside and gave him his undivided attention, so Draco continued. Everything is different now, but when we get back to Hogwarts, I'll be in Slytherin and Harry and the others will still be Gryffindors. Do I just act like nothing's changed? It was still hard for him to admit his insecurities, but after living with Sirius and Remus for nearly 8 weeks, he was starting to learn that some adults actually took him seriously and wouldn't belittle him for voicing his fears.
"I don't think you should fall back into old patterns. It wouldn't do much good. Most of Slytherin will know that you've been disinherited anyway, and the fact that you're in different houses won't matter. Harry is a very loyal friend. So are Ron and Hermione, for that matter. Being back at Hogwarts won't change anything," Remus assured.
Draco was glad for the werewolf's calming presence and his encouraging words, which helped to ease his fears a little.
"Are you anxious about being back among your fellow Slytherins?" Remus asked cautiously.
A little, Draco had to admit. I know they can't really hurt me at Hogwarts, but they can make my life pretty miserable, and I wouldn't put it past people like Nott to do just that.
"Try to keep a level head. Don't let them provoke you, but show them that you're not afraid of them either. Show them that you're not one to mess with, and if it gets too bad, I want you to tell Dumbledore, okay?"
Draco nodded reluctantly. He'd never had much dealings with the headmaster. Usually he would go to Snape if there was a problem, but he didn't trust the potions master any longer, despite his involvement with the Order.
"If you want my advice, I think you should figure out first which Slytherins you can trust. You're gonna need some backup in your own house," Remus said quietly.
I think Zabini will be on my side. We always got along fine, and his parents opposed the Dark Lord. Millicent Bulstrode and Daphne Greengrass might also be an option, and maybe Vasey from the Quidditch team? The blonde mused.
"That's good. Surround yourself with people you can trust, people who will watch your back. And it also couldn't hurt to make some new friends in the other houses. You made a good start with Harry, Ron, and Hermione."
Yeah, I'm still not sure how that happened, actually, Draco mumbled. Ginny still hates me, though, and I have no idea why. He was surprised to see the bemused expression on Remus's face. I never did anything to her, I swear, the blonde defended himself. He jumped at the bark-like laughter from the doorway, not having heard Sirius approach. Remus, on the other hand, didn't look surprised. He had probably seen the other man, or maybe he'd sensed him. The full moon was drawing close.
"Put the poor boy out of his misery, Moony. He actually thinks it's his fault," Sirius commented, taking a seat next to Draco, who gave him a puzzled look. What are you talking about? Like I said, I never did anything to her. He scowled when the two men shared a knowing grin. Sirius put a hand on his shoulder, squeezing gently. The first few times he'd tried that, Draco had jerked away, survival instinct born from living with an abusive father kicking in. But he had learned to trust these two men. He knew now that they would never hurt him, and thanks to Harry and his friends, who were a very touchy-feely group, he'd actually gotten used to people touching him. "It's nothing you've done, Draco. Not really," Remus assured quietly, and Sirius added, "She's just jealous."
Draco blinked at him, trying to comprehend what he was hearing. Jealous? But that didn't make any sense. Why would Ginny Weasley be jealous of him? He missed the silent exchange between the two men, which ended with a grudging nod from Remus.
"Ginny's had a crush on Harry since she was 10 years old," the werewolf informed him. "And you've been spending an awful lot of time with Harry lately?" Sirius added, when the boy still looked puzzled.
She's jealous of my friendship with Harry? Draco asked. Okay, they did spend a lot of time together, and sometimes it was just the two of them, while Harry was never seen alone with Ginny. She was always part of the group, but he never paid any special attention to her, quite the contrary, in fact, and he always defended Draco when she was being bitchy. Oh, he exclaimed softly, eliciting another bark of laughter from Sirius. "Now that we've solved that mystery, you should probably get some sleep," the Animagus suggested, giving his shoulder another gentle squeeze. Draco nodded and thanked them, before getting up and heading for the door. When he looked back from the doorway, he saw them kissing, Sirius straddling Remus's waist. Shaking his head with a smile, he returned to his bedroom. He actually envied the two men, who looked so happy together.